Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Nato faction in the game Global War 2025 Meltdown. So, they're the blue guys that you're looking at there, and they're all located in one place, all in Europe, except for there is also Canada. There's Western and Eastern Canada, but there's only one infantry unit located in Eastern Canada. And I think you can see him at the very top of the screen. Or no, you can't. There he is over there. And there's nobody located in Western Canada. So basically all of your units are right here in Europe. I just wanted to show you that. So we're going to go take a look at the Nato dashboard and find out all the information about them. Okay, so now we're looking at the Nato faction dashboard. And the dashboard is something that we use, gives you all the information that you need to know about the nation that you're playing, and all the stuff that you do off board you can do on this dashboard right here, including placing the units that you buy. And speaking of which, the Nato faction has 37 IPP to spend, which is quite a bit, but you would kind of expect that because the Western powers are fairly wealthy nations, right? And that's what NATO makes up, is Western nations, mostly Western nations. What NATO stands for is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So anyway, they would be pretty powerful if it wasn't for all the Russians on their front doorstep. They're kind of like the speed bump. Anyway, so let's take a look at their cyber warfare. They have 4 cyber warfare points, so that's not too bad. They do have an ability to get more later, and I'll show you that. Now, their special ability is called Combined Defense. So any attack against NATO starting territories can last a maximum of 2 rounds. That they need that because in our playtesting we found that if they just let Russia attack as much as they want, then NATO would just get overrun. So normally an attack lasts for 3 rounds, right? But now it can only last 2 rounds. And that's pretty big, especially when it comes to blitzing. Because even if you manage to take the territory out in 1 round, well then the tanks that you're blitzing with can still only fight for 1 round when it gets past that, right? So they're not just going to be able to run straight across Europe before the Americans get there. It's going to be a little slower for them. And that's why that ability exists. Now, as far as their strategic movement goes, and that's your non-combat movement, think of it that way. In this game, it's called strategic move. So your rail movement, you can move 4 units, 6 spaces. So there's no rail lines on the board, but just any territory that's adjacent to each other, you can assume is connected by rail, right? So as long as you or someone in your faction owns that territory, you can rail through it, right? So 6, now sea lift, that is going from port to port. And the ports must be undamaged, right? So they can move 1 unit 6 up to 6 sea zones away, right? And then airlift, they don't have an airlift capability. So moving from one airbase to another is just not something that's in their capability. But as you've seen though, like they're all concentrated in small space up there, so that's not something that's too bad for them. And that's probably why they didn't develop that capability, right? Is because they could just rail around. They didn't really need to get in planes and fly for 10 minutes to get to the other side of Europe, right? So when you look at their arsenal here, they have 10 cruise missiles, which isn't too bad. They got 6 nuclear cruise missiles and 2 sub-launch ballistic missiles, which means, of course, that they have 2 ballistic missile subs. They start the game with it, and when you fire missiles from those subs, it's these ones here that you fire, the SLBMs, and once they're gone, then that sub disappears off the board, right? And if the sub gets taken out by an attack sub, then you lose one of your SLBMs as well. So But 2 is pretty good when you combine that with America has 4 and the Pacific Coalition has 1 as well. That's enough nukes to do some damage to the other side. And what else do we got? Drones. They start the game with 3 drones, so that helps. Now, in their weapons that they can develop, there's hypersonic cruise missiles. Here, we're looking at the blue ones here, and the first 5 is the same as U.S., NATO, Pacific Coalition, Russian Federation, and China. They all have the same ones. So the hypersonic cruise missiles means that they cost 4 instead of 3, but they attack at 5, and they have a target selection of 1 or 2 against land or surface ships. So that's going to help if you get that one. ABM is an anti-ballistic missile system, so that gives you the ability to shoot down missiles that are fired at one of your starting territories. So it's not going to help you in any territories that you conquer, but in your home starting territories, in this case would be the blue ones, you have the ability to shoot them down. Doesn't mean you will. You still have to roll the dice, right? But you have the ability. So improved drones means that your drones could go 4 spaces instead of 2, and that's a pretty big deal. Next generation fighters means that your fighters will attack and defend at 8 and cost 14 instead of attack, defend at 6 and cost 12. Your next generation main battle tanks means that your main battle tanks will attack and defend at 8 and cost 8 instead of being attack, defense 6 and cost of 6. Now, improved cyber warfare. This is pretty handy, one that they can get. Also, the Pacific Coalition could get this one as well. So what that means is that you could get an extra 3 cyber warfare points. So when you look over here, they start with 4, so they could have 7 cyber warfare points, and that's pretty good because there are, I think, 6 different things that you could do with your cyber warfare points. Let me see, 1, 2, 3. Well, only 5 because the 6th one is only available to the Eastern Pact. So 5 different things that you can do, and it's pretty handy that that you have 7 things that you could do it with, right? If you and the Pacific Coalition did that, you could basically fight this game, cyber warfare, and use the Americans for the heavy lifting, right? So anyway, that is the NATO faction in the game Global War 2025 Meltdown. So that's about all I have for you in this one. So take care, everyone. General Hand Grenade out.